Hi there, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's yoga class is all about connecting to your breath. I want you to be very mindful of the body-breath connection and allow your movement to follow the lead that your breath establishes. The breath controls everything. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify where you need to, and feel comfortable to pause the stream or to ease your way into child pose at any time should you need a little bit of a timeout. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to start off today's class coming into a seated frame of your choice, preferably tucking into easy sit, Sukhasana, sitting cross-legged. Let's begin with the right leg in front of the left. You're going to just sit up nice and tall, ground your bum bones, and start by dropping your hands to the top of your knees. We're going to kick off with Surya Beda, sun-piercing breath, and establish that breath connection right from the get-go. Take your middle and index finger and either place them on the third eye, that little spot between the two eyebrows, or for purposes of demo, I'm going to tuck them in today. You're going to use your ring finger to control the opening and the closing of your left nostril, and you're going to use your thumb to control the opening and the closing of your right nostril. For this exercise, you're going to be inhaling and exhaling exclusively through the nose. Inhaling only through your right nostril and exhaling only through your left nostril. Close your left nostril. Take a big breath in through the right. Then close the right nostril. Open and exhale left. Close the left nostril. Inhale through the right. Close the right. Open and exhale left. Close your eyes, take your focus inward, and begin establishing a breathing pattern of your own, giving me a 1 to 2 on the inhalation to exhalation. So if you're inhaling for 4 on the inhale, double up on the exhale for 8. If you feel good here, you can add in a third component, retention of the breath. Inhaling through the right nostril, let's say for 4. Closing it, nodding your chin to your chest and retaining the breath, let's say for a count of 8. Then releasing the chin lock to open and exhale left for a count of 8. Establish a rhythm that works for you, playing with that breath ratio, but at no stage should you be straining on the retention or the exhalation portion of the exercise. Take your focus inward and start establishing that connection with your breath right from the beginning of today's class with Surya Beda, sun-piercing breath, creating a little bit of heat energy in the body. Your breath is soft, almost inaudible. Make this your last round of Surya Beda. When you finish your last round, drop both hands to the knees. Take a big breath in, and on an exhale, look over your right shoulder, keeping the chin parallel to the floor. Inhale to bring your chin back to center. Exhale to peep over the other shoulder. Inhale to bring your chin back, and on a long exhale, nod your chin to your chest and pause there, letting go of that little tension spot in the nape of your neck. Inhale to bring your chin back to center. Focusing on your belly button, start tracing a really teeny tiny circle clockwise. Think of a little Kundalini spiral. Start making that spiral systematically bigger. so that it feels like you're really breathing into the front of your ribs as you come forward, and then exhale as you pull back, almost as if you were squeezing your diaphragm into the back of your spine. Start making your movements bigger, maybe floating over your knees as you trace that circular pattern. And don't be afraid to take the movement into your shoulders and even your elbows, depending on where you're feeling that tension today. Nice big circles. Come to stillness. Take a big breath in, and on an exhale, twist to the right, grabbing hold of your right knee with your left hand, pulling the knee into center and resisting with the rest of your body as you breathe, or rather exhale into the twist, using the other fingertips on the floor behind you to prop up your high seat. Inhale to come back to center. Take a big breath in, let's say for a count of 10. And on a long exhale for 10, twist to the other side, grabbing hold of that knee, opposite hand to knee, tug the knee in towards the center line and almost resist with the rest of your body. Inhale to come back to the center line. Take a big breath in. And on an exhale, drop your right palm to the mat. Give me a heavy elbow and a heavy shoulder. You don't need to ground to the mat. And arc and frame with the other arm, reaching long and lengthened through your fingertips as if you wanted to tap the wall at the opposite end of the room. Make your ear heavy to the mat as if you were trying to listen to the secrets of the universe. Inhale and come back. Take a big breath in, fill your lungs to max capacity. And on an exhale, take the drop to the other side, making the left elbow and the left shoulder heavy to the floor. Make the ear heavy to the floor, arc and frame on the other arm, and reach with your fingertips, trying to open up through the ribs on the opposite side of the body. Inhale to gently float back to center. Start tracing that circle again, this time bringing it big, starting big. So you're still moving clockwise, starting the circle big, and reversing your pattern this time. Start big, and start making your circle systematically smaller, trying to converge in towards your belly button. So view your belly button as the pinnacle of your circle. You're starting big and you're drawing everything in towards your belly button. When your circle is as small as you can manage and you can't possibly make it any tighter, I want you to stop. Keep that focus on your belly button. On an exhale, nod your chin to your chest, floating the elbows wide, almost hollowing out your belly. And then on an inhale, come through neutral spine, change the shape of your spine and arc to gently look up to the ceiling. You're going to begin playing dynamically with your back. Almost think of this as a seated cat-cow. Allow your movement to follow your breath. Exhale to round up. Inhale to make your elbows heavy to the floor, arc through the spine, getting a nice little stretch into that little turkey waddle underneath your chin. Then find your way from here into a butterfly frame, Baddha Konasana, by bringing the soles of your feet together, maybe binding around the toes and just making the knees heavy to the floor, or maybe you're more comfortable binding around the ankles and using your elbows to push open gently on the inseam of your legs. Just fold it forward softly. Don't take the forward fold to any great exertion at the moment. Just gently fold it forward on an exhale. Then tuck back into easy sit, this time leading with the opposite leg in front. We're going to reverse our breath exercise, coming into Chandra Uttanasana, moon-piercing breath. This time inhaling only through the left nostril and exhaling only through the right. Place your middle and index finger on the third eye or tuck the 2 digits in. Close your right nostril, take a big breath in through the left, then close the left nostril, open and exhale right. Close the right nostril, take a big breath in through the left, close it, Open and exhale, right. Close your eyes, take your focus inward, and begin establishing a pattern that works for you. If you feel good here, add retention of the breath, kumbhaka. Taking a long inhale through the left nostril, closing it, then applying the chin lock by nodding your chin to your chest and thinking of just allowing the body a chance to absorb all that oxygen you just took in with the inhale. Then release the chin lock. Open and exhale right and allow your body to expel all the stale air. Keep rinsing and repeating, playing with a breath ratio of 1 to 2 to 2 on the inhalation to retention to exhalation. Take your focus inward. Be mindful of your breath. Allow your body a chance to use all that beautiful oxygen that you're taking in on the inhale. Make this your last round of Chandra Beda, moon-piercing breath. Once you've completed your last round, slowly flutter open the eyes, place the hands palms down on the knees, take a big breath in to prepare, and on the exhale, peep over your left shoulder. Keep your chin line parallel to the mat. Inhale, draw the chin back to center, keep that length through the spine, and on an exhale, peep over the right shoulder. Keep the shoulders softly dropping away from the ears. Inhale to bring your chin back to neutral. Big breath in. On an exhale, nod your chin to your chest. Pause there. Release the tension from your shoulders, from your jaw. Inhale to bring your chin back to center and begin a little anti-clockwise circle. Begin small and then start thinking of making your circle systematically bigger, bringing the movements into your arms, into your shoulders, maybe into the back of your ribs. Feel for those areas of tightness in the body and allow your breath to move you through those areas of tightness. Starting your circle small and making it systematically bigger. Just get into a beautiful rhythm of your own. And then come to stillness along the midline of the body. Take a big breath in. And on an exhale, softly twist to the left. Opposite hand to knee. Grab with that hand. Pull the knee in towards the center line and almost resist and push through with the rest of your body. Inhale to straighten up. Take a big breath in. And on an audible exhale, take it to the left. Maybe use a nice little shooting breath. Inhale, bring it back to center. Take a big breath in, and on an exhale, make the left palm, elbow and shoulder heavy to the mat. Arc and frame with the other arm, and take a little stretcher, trying to open up through the rib cage on the opposite side of the body. Inhale, come back to center, dropping your hands, palms down on the knees. And then on an audible exhale, make the right palm, elbow, shoulder, ear heavy to the mat. Arc and frame on the left and try to open up the rib cage on the left side of the body. Inhale to gently bring yourself back to center and start tracing those circular patterns again. This time beginning your circular spiral big and starting to draw it in, making it smaller towards your belly button line. Nice inhale as you come forward. Exhaling as you pull back, almost squeezing the diaphragm in towards the back of your spine. When your circle can't get any tighter and you've really drawn everything in towards your navel, you're going to begin your seated cat-cow. Exhaling to round out. Take the movement into your arms and your shoulders. Inhale to make the elbows and the shoulders heavy to the floor as you arc through the spine. Get into a little seated cat-cow rhythm, allowing your body to follow the pattern that your breath establishes. From here, you're going to float into a butterfly line, bringing the soles of your feet together, binding around the toes, maybe just making those knees heavy to the floor, dropping down through the shoulders. Or maybe you want to bind around the ankles, using your elbow points to gently push on the inseam of your legs. From here, you're going to change your orientation on the mat and you're going to find your way into a modified 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. We're going to mix it up today, and I'd like you to try to invert your hands. So dropping or rather inverting the hands, so the fingertips are looking towards your knee points. If this feels really uncomfortable for you on the carpal tunnel, you can change the hand position and give me a traditional 4-point kneel with your fingertips looking towards the front of your mat. Play where you're comfortable. And come back into cat-cow, inhaling to prepare, taking your chin and your bum bones to the ceiling and arcing slightly through the spine. And then on an exhale, nodding your chin to your chest and almost trying to stretch the back of your ribs up towards the ceiling. Find a little rhythm of your own. And today, let's play with a 1-to-1 inhalation to exhalation ratio on the cat-cow. So if you're inhaling for, let's say, 5 counts, exhale for 5. So we're changing it up today. Then come to a neutral tabletop line, trying to keep the hands inverted. You're going to tuck your toes under. You're going to push back, bum up to the ceiling in a down dog, and then hover your knees just off the floor. Just a few oscillations between a hovering knee position and a down dog. At any time, if the pressure on the wrists becomes too much, just change your hand position and give me fingertips looking towards the front of the mat. So if you are a closet texter, you will feel the wrists from the inverted line. All right. Drop back into 4-point kneeling, bringing the knees and the feet together and sitting back on your heels in Thunderbolt, Asana. We're going to release the wrists. Keep your fingertips heavy to the floor, but bleed your wrist line up towards the ceiling and then down towards the floor, moving up and down, almost as if your fingertips was a paintbrush and you were painting the wall in front of you. Then see what it feels like when you take the movement out to the side of the room and back towards the center line. And then maybe marry the two together, tracing a cross pattern, up, down, side, together. Just play with it. Find a gentle rhythm that works for you, releasing any tension that you might have been feeling in the wrist line when we were playing in that modified 4-point kneel. Then gently from here, we're going to change the leg line on the mat and we're going to set up hero. You're going to think of bringing the knees together. They don't need to be flush, and you're going to open up the feet to the side of the room and try to sit your bottom between the two legs. If this feels really uncomfortable, open up the knees a little bit wider and maybe slip a pillow or a block underneath you to support your frame. Do what feels good for your body. So if the knees don't want to come flush towards the center line, don't force them together. Do what feels good for you. Just start by sitting up nice and tall as you find your first hero, Virasana. If this feels good, start walking your fingertips behind you, maybe reaching past the edge of your mat. Think of allowing your chest to dome up towards the ceiling. And if this feels good, see if you can invert your fingertips, maybe pointing them towards your bum line. If you still feel good here, Start dropping down onto your elbow points and your forearms, still growing that chest up towards the ceiling. And if you've still got a little bit of room to move, maybe start creeping your fingertips closer towards your foot line and trying to ease your way onto the shoulders, dropping down onto your back, and maybe just wrapping your hands around your ankles or around the feet. Or you can give me a Shavasana-like position where the arms just softly draped at your side, palms up to the ceiling as you come into a Supine Hero, Supta Virasana. Take a moment here to get a good stretch into the top of your thighs, into the belly, working the back. And as always, play where you're comfortable. Taking nice, deep, long, even breaths here. When you're ready to come out of your reclined position, you're going to ease your way gently back onto the elbows. Maybe nod your chin to your chest and just rest on your elbow points and your forearms for a second or two. Ease your way onto the fingertips. Walk your weight forward and change your leg position, coming into a modified child with your big toes together, the knees softly splayed out, extending through the arms, pushing your bum as far back towards your heels as you can, and just taking a little stretch here in an extended child. Maybe allowing your forehead to softly connect to the mat. Ease your way from child pose, Balasana, into a down dog frame. Come through 4-point kneeling, tuck your toes under, and if you're feeling tight through the knees and the hips after Hero, just give me a soft, rotational, playful movement through the knees and the hips in Svananda, Blissful Dog. And once you've got the blood supply back in your knees and your hips, you're going to just ease into your down dog stretch. Try to extend through the arms and the legs and take a nice little stretch here, trying to make your heels as heavy to the floor as you can manage. And then either keeping your hands flat on the mat or easing your way onto the tips of your fingers, you're going to walk your feet forward, bending the knees as much as you need to, and just come into a gentle forward fold, Uttanasana. And I'd like you to give me your first Uttanasana with your feet in parallel, just inside of hip width distance apart. Soften through the knees and ragdoll style, bleed up. Restacking shoulders, hips, knees, ankles. Float both of your hands overhead and just give me a nice wide frame with the hands. You're going to come into a gentle palm tree sway, keeping your fingertips and your wrist line really soft. You're going to float your hands off center to one side as you bump your hips in the opposite direction, and just think of emulating a little palm tree, gently swaying in the breeze. Come to stillness along the center line, maybe bringing your hands to prayer and heel-toeing your feet in, giving me a narrow mountain Tadasana. You might need a strap or a hand towel for the next one. We're coming into a little hand to big toe stretch. You're going to bend your right knee, thinking knee to nose. You're going to take your middle index finger and thumb, trying to make a big toe lock around the big toe, and extend the leg out in front of you, holding that stretch. If connecting to your big toe is not happening for you today, just loop a strap or a hand towel around your foot, giving yourself enough play to extend the leg out in front of you. If you don't have a strap at your disposal, modify and come into the D position, just placing your hands on your hips, thinking knee to nose, and kicking the leg out in front, bracing into that heel. So play where you're comfortable. Try to find a drishti or a focal point on the wall in front of you and keep your eye trained on that point as you come into the stretch. On your supportive side, the arm is either long, braced on your hip, or maybe you've T-framed the arm. From your A-line, you're going to bend the knee and come into a tree, placing the sole of your right leg as high as you can on the inseam of the left leg. If this feels uncomfortable, if the tuck is not working for you today, and the leg does not want to stay there, you can give me a lower point below your knee, or maybe connect the big toe to the floor. Find the tree of your choice and then try to interlace the hands behind you, making a little fist, or maybe bringing your hands into Jupiter Mudra by bringing the index fingers together and crossing the thumbs. Look for stillness, look for control. Then keeping the hands bound behind you, you're going to take a big step back with the right leg. Ankling the foot open at 90 as you would in a warrior 2 frame. And you're going to drop your thumb or your index fingers between the bum cheeks. So think of just gently making your fisted portion of the hand heavy to the floor and arc and look gently up towards the ceiling. Keep anchoring through that back leg and try to distribute the weight evenly between the front and the back leg. Keeping your bound position, tuck the back toes under and come into a low lunge, wiggling the back foot away from you if you need to, and just try to make the pelvis as heavy to the floor as you can. Hold your stretch here. Unbind the hands, drop them to the floor, release the back, knee, shin, and foot. Bring your left hand to the inside of the left leg, heel toe the foot out so that you've got space for both of your hands to stack underneath your shoulders. Then bring your front foot open to about 45, wiggle it slightly forward, knife edge it, looking towards that knee, and either just bringing the knee in and open, knife edging and grounding through the front foot, or holding that knife edge position, taking your left palm and gently push that left knee away from you, opening up gently through the inner thighs and the groin. Experiment. Use your breath and to exhale and open up gently. Modified lizard, Uttanasana. We're going to use this lizard line to set up a modified hamstring stretch, Ardha Hanumanasana. Plant both of your hands on the mat and ground your front leg. Your front leg is still slightly off center, so it's a little bit wider than hip width distance apart. You're going to keep that position on the mat, trying to ground your whole foot into the mat. Creep or walk your weight back, maybe bringing it past your knee line, extend the front leg, peel the toes up off the mat, and just take a little stretch here. Either keeping both of your hands on the mat for support, or if you've got a strong inner thigh and core connection, so think of drawing up along the inner thighs and then pulling up from the pelvic floor towards your belly button line, you're going to float the hands behind you, maybe making a little fisted position or a Jupiter Mudra behind your back and holding. Almost rounding out slightly through your belly, finding that pinnacle of your belly button again and trying to marry it with the back of your rib cage. Keep your breathing long, soft, and relaxed. Then unbind the hands if they were bound behind you and place your fingertips on the mat. Bend your lead leg, tuck the back toe under, bring the knee up off the floor, and push off the back leg, coming into a standing position and restacking the feet underneath your hips. Pedal them out if you need to, and then either staying here in a forward fold or bringing it into the standing split by sweeping the right leg behind you. Creep your fingertips back so that they're framing the lead leg on either side, and just make your crown heavy to the floor while sweeping that right leg behind you, either staying here or coming into a little sugarcane bind. By bending your floating back leg, reach opposite hand to foot. Then think dancer. Kick the foot into your hand and take a nice little stretch into the quad and the hamstring. Hold your bind or keep your standing split or just stay in your soft forward fold. From here, step the feet together if you can. Big toes and ankles flush. Extend through the legs and come into a little tabletop frame. Arms are long, positioned alongside your head. And we're going to play with the weight distribution in the legs. So I want you to lean forward, all the weight into the big toes and the balls of your feet, and stop just before your heels want to peel up off the mat. Hold that position for a second or two. And then bump the weight back into your heels and stop just before your toes want to peel off the mat. Then begin rocking back and forth between both points, using your breath, and find a midway point to pause and hold. Then soften through the knees. Think Chandra Uttanasana. Drop the back of your hands to the mat, palms looking up to the ceiling. Chest to knees. Hang here for a bit. And then ragdoll style, peel back up, trying to keep that narrow leg line so the big toes and the ankles are still flush along the center line. You're going to float your hands overhead and come into that little palm tree sway. Just thinking of keeping your wrist and your hand line and your elbow line soft and floating the arms overhead. Find your little palm tree, sway it in the wind, and keep using your inner thighs, thinking of squeezing them into center and sending that energy up through all 9 chakras, from your pubic bone all the way to your crown chakra. Come to stillness along the center line, maybe bringing your hands to prayer, reaching for your strap or your hand towel if you need it. You're going to come into your hand to big toe, a stretch, trying to bind around the big toe or the foot, or maybe just keeping your hands on your hips and extending and kicking the leg out in front. Play where you're comfortable. Remember, keep your eye on a drishti or a focal point on the wall in front of you. Look for stillness, look for control. Uttita Hasta Padangusthasana A. Look for length, look for strength. Start slowing down and controlling your breath pattern. Then use this A-line big toe lock to set up your tree, Vriksasana. Start to bend the left knee, placing the sole of the left foot on the inseam of the right leg, and find a purchase point that works for you. Find stillness first, and then maybe float the hands behind you, making a little fist, thinking of squeezing the 2 shoulder blades and the elbows as close together along the midline as you can, either keeping your hands fisted or finding a Jupiter bind and reaching long and lengthened through your index fingers, almost as if you were trying to tap the wall behind you. Look for stillness. Look for control. Keeping that bind behind your back, you're going to take a big lunge step back with the left leg, finding a warrior 2-like position. So your back foot is open at 90. Wiggle the front foot open and try to drop down as low as you can, arcing slightly through the back and making your index fingers or just your fisted knuckles heavy to the floor and arcing slightly in your warrior 2 modification. Keeping your hands bound behind your back, tuck your back toes under, wiggle the back foot away and try to drop into as low a lunge as you can. When those hands behind you start tingling, you're going to gently unbind, framing your lead leg on either side. Relax the back knee, shin, and foot. Then bring your right hand to the inside of the right leg, heel toe your foot out, making space for both of your hands to stack underneath your shoulders. Then focus on your front foot. Take it out to about 45. Wiggle it slightly forward. Knife edge it and then ground it. Play with that movement, almost a soft single butterfly on the right. And then if you're feeling susceptible and the body is willing, you're going to keep that knife edge position. Take your right palm and gently push the right knee away, maybe peeking over that right shoulder as if you were trying to sneak a peek at the back of your mat. Holding that lizard line, taking a few deep breaths here, using your exhale to relax and release into that beautiful inner thigh, hip flexor and groin stretch. We're going to find our way into our little hamstring stretch from here. Ground the front foot and place both hands on the mat. Keep that step out position on the right and start creep walking your hands back. Start to extend the front leg. Allow the toes to peel up off the mat, either keeping flat palms or fingertips on the mat and hollowing out your belly, almost as if you had rounded out over a ball, or pull up along the inner thighs towards your pubis, and then pull up an imaginary zip from your pubic bone towards your belly button line and float the hands behind you, maybe coming back into that fisted position or that Jupiter position. Keep drawing up actively along the inner thighs and pull up really strongly from the pelvic floor towards your belly button line. Take a few deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, you're going to reconnect the hands to the mat, reground your front foot, bring the back knee and the leg up off the mat, and walk or launch yourself forward, coming back into a standing frame, stacking your feet underneath your hips, or modifying this time and heel toeing it in, bringing your feet into a narrow stance right from the get-go and come into a soft forward fold, trying to bring your palms to the mat. If you can easily connect them, maybe inverting your hands this time and creeping your hands back, maybe past your ankle line, and trying to make your crown heavier to the floor, trying to keep the back of your legs as extended as you can comfortably manage. You could modify by placing your hands on the shins or the top of your thighs, or even placing a block underneath your hands. And then find your standing split position from here, sliding the left leg behind you, creeping your hands back so that they're framing either side of the lead leg, either staying here, just floating that left leg behind you, or bend that floating back leg, reach opposite hand to foot, kick the foot into your hand, and take a nice little stretch into that back leg. Keep your crown heavy, keep your belly button pulled into center, and allow the blood to gently pool into your head, giving you a beautiful little mini facelift. Come out of your bind. Step the feet together this time, so keep your stance nice and narrow, and peel up into that tabletop line. If you feel unsteady with a narrow foot line, just open up your feet hip-width distance apart. Play with that gentle sway. So bring all the weight into the balls of your feet. Stop just before your heels come up off the floor. Then push the weight back into your heels and stop just before your toes peel up off the mat. Play dynamically between the two, trying to keep your narrow foot stance this time. Then find a midway point and hold. Bend the knees, place your hands on the mat and step or hop back into a plank line. Keep your plank line nice and even. You're going to think left knee to left elbow, come back to your plank. Left knee to right elbow, come back to your plank. Head to down dog. Come back to your plank. Left knee to left elbow, find your plank. Left knee to right elbow, come back to your plank. Head to down dog frame. Drop to your knees, keep your toes tucked under and come into a high kneeling frame, placing your hands palms down, fingertips down on your sacrum area, bumping your hips forward and coming into a modified camel, keeping the toes tucked under and stretching into the arches of your feet. Drop your hands back to the mat. Set up your down dog. On an exhale, find your way to plank. Think knee to nose on the right, tap back out, and then cross over to the opposite elbow, come back to plank. Exhale for down dog. Find a little rhythm of your own, finding that tap on the same side, on the opposite side, and then hitting a down dog frame. Ease your way into your modified camel. Keep the toes tucked under as you come into a high kneeling frame. Hands, palms and fingertips down, bumping your sacrum and your hips slightly forward so that you've got the hips over the knees. Keep thinking of floating the two shoulder blades together and then allow them to sink down towards your sacrum as you find your modified camel Ustrasana. From here, you're going to bleed your way into Thunderbolt. Bring your fingertips to the mat, float your knees and your feet together and relax onto the tops of your feet as you softly sit back onto your bum. Place your hands softly on the mat alongside you and bump the weight into your left hip. Then see if you can extend the right leg in front of you and reposition your bum cheeks so that you're wrapping your bum cheeks around the back foot and you're sitting comfortably, comfort being relative, around that back foot. If you need to, you can slip a pillow or a block underneath your right bum cheek, but try to get a sense of evenness through the shoulders and through the pelvis and the hips, so you're not dropping one bum lower than the other. Sit up as tall as you can and just give me a soft forward fold. Maybe creeping your hands towards your leg line. So either just keep your fingertips, your palms, or your forearms connected to the mat, or maybe you've got enough range of motion to bind around your toes. You could even use a strap or a hand towel around the foot and just come to a gentle bind here, thinking nose to knee, Uttanasana. Keep pulling the belly button softly into center. Then peeling up, you're going to think of coming into a modified small lunge. So bend the lead leg. Think of coming into a kneeling frame on the back leg. And then step the right leg out to the side of the room so that your foot is in line with the left knee. Take your right hand and push the right knee open and just frame yourself on the left. Maybe keeping that hand down position as you come into a half camel line. Keep pulling the right knee open and arcing slightly through the spine, supporting your body weight on the left as you arc through the spine in your half camel. Then think of sitting back on that back heel, and this time grab your right foot and try to tuck into a figure 4 position. So you're resting your ankle on the thigh of the left leg and just place your fingertips gently on the floor either side of your frame and begin rocking your body weight right to left. So you're almost massaging that whole left foot, and you're also using the wraparound to get into those little tension spots on the bum. Then either staying here looking for stillness or tucking that front foot into the half lotus line by bringing the heel of your foot as close towards the inside of the left hip as you can. Try to make the right knee heavy to the floor and anchor it into the mat if you can, or you can wedge a pillow or a block underneath your knee line on the right. We're going to come into just a gentle Vajrayasana twist from here. So take a big breath in, and on an exhale, just softly twist to the left, maybe binding both hands to the outside of your left hip, looking over that left shoulder and taking a nice exhale as you come into the twist. Inhale, bring it back to center. And then on an exhale, take the twist softly to the right. Maybe placing one set of fingertips on the floor and just wrapping around your hip with the other. If this feels good, you can maybe bend the left arm behind your back, reach for your right hand behind your back, reach for the fingertips, give them a little tug so that you're releasing the shoulder on the right. See if you can take your middle index finger and thumb and make a little big toe lock on that front foot. Then just wrap the other arm softly around your hips and just come to a nice soft twist. Play where you're comfortable. Inhale and gently peel back to center, extending that front leg out in front. Come back to your original head to knee stretch, trying to look for that sense of evenness through the shoulders and the hips, and softly drape yourself forward. This time, trying to make your head and your chest even heavier and see if you can get to a closer proximity between the head and the top of your leg. Play where you're comfortable, either just making your forearms heavy to the mat or trying to bind around the foot. Come back into your kneeling frame, bending the lead leg. Maybe you just want to wiggle your front foot forward, stacking your hands on your top thigh and just taking a little stretch here. Or if your inner thigh and your abdominal connection is strong, so you're going to think of pulling up along the inner thighs and pull up that zip from your pelvic floor towards your belly button line. You're going to see if you can float the back foot up off the mat. Reaching for that foot with maybe one hand or both hands. Don't tense the leg. Soften that whole back thigh so your quad, your glute, your hamstring is soft as you just think of floating the foot in to try to tap your heel to your bum. Then release the back leg. Place both of the hands on the inside of the right leg and swing that right foot back, coming back into your original Thunderbolt position, Vajrasana, with your knees and your feet together, sitting back on your heels and finding your high seat here. Place both hands either side of your body and bump the weight into your right hip. See if you can extend the left leg in front. Readjust your bum cheeks and wrap them around your back heel. Then softly fold forward. Maybe placing your palms, your fingertips, or maybe your forearms on the mat. Or maybe trying to find perches around your foot. Playing freestyle with the hands. Or maybe using a belt or a strap or a hand towel to help assist you getting into the stretch. Pause here for a few breaths, trying to breathe nice and deeply into the back of your ribs. Then peel up into a kneeling frame, bend the lead leg, and then step the left leg to the side of the room. Whole foot is more or less in line with your right knee. Take the left palm, push the left knee open, and frame your lower back on the other side as you come into a gentle camel arc. And today, let's keep the fingertips looking down towards the mat. Keep pulling or gently tugging the knee open on the left. And arcing slightly to look up to the ceiling. Then lengthen up through your spine and try to sit back on the back heel and tuck your left foot into a figure 4 position, trying to place your ankle on the left thigh. Just find a resting spot that works for you. And then start rocking the weight side to side, massaging the whole top of your right foot and using the heel of your right leg to massage your bum softly. Either staying here and just looking for stillness through the shoulders, the hips and the pelvis, or tucking into the half lotus line, maybe allowing that left knee to connect to the floor. Just sit up nice and tall. Take a big breath in and take a gentle twist to the right. Maybe just cupping both hands to the right hip, or maybe supporting your frame with the back hand and just reaching opposite hand to hip. Inhale and come back to center. On an active exhale, take your twist to the other side. Opposite hand to hip, or bend the left arm, tuck it behind your back. Then reach for those left fingertips and give it the arm a little tug so that you're relaxing through the shoulder area on the left. And see if you can coax that hand around to maybe bind to the big toe, and then just wrap the other arm around your hip. Find a soft twist that works for you. When you're ready to come out of your Bharat Vajrasana twist, you're going to extend that left leg in front, wiggling around to find your seat on the back leg, and you're going to fold forward one last time. Trying to make your head, your chest even heavier towards your lead extended leg. Trying to breathe nice and deeply into the back of your ribs. Almost think of the back of your ribs expanding up to the ceiling on each inhale. Then ease your way from here back into your kneeling frame, bending the lead leg, maybe wiggling the foot forward slightly, and maybe just stacking both hands on the lead thigh, or begin drawing up along the inner thighs and pulling up that zip from your pelvic bone towards your belly button line. See if you can float the back foot up off the mat. And if you find that as soon as you reach for that leg, you get a cramp in the leg, you're probably tensing the leg. So mindfully tell yourself to just relax that whole back leg. So the quad is soft, the hamstring is soft, your bum is nice, soft and relaxed. And just hug that foot in, trying to tap your heel to your bum, either using one hand or both hands. Then release gently, place both hands on the inside of your left leg and sweep back, either ending off in Thunderbolt, or you can come to easy sit, or you can even position yourself in Shavasana. Just find a seat of your choice. Bring your hands to Prayer Mudra in front of your heart. Take your focus inward. And maybe lead your hands around your rib cage and focus once more on your breath work. Maybe making your chin slightly heavy towards the chest and just focusing on connecting to the gentle expansion of your rib cage on each inhale, and then allowing the ribs to softly just fall back into the center line on the exhale. As you start connecting once more actively to the breath, just start visualizing what's happening through the ribs on each inhale. As you inhale, don't just allow the ribs to expand laterally to the side of the room, but also allow for growth in the sternum and growth in the back of your ribs towards your spine, so that it feels like your rib cage is opening up in 4 dimensions and you can really get into the bottom of your lungs, taking huge breath in, and then softly visualize a bag just deflating on the exhale as those ribs become heavy towards the center line. Keeping those nice deep breaths, float your hands back to Prayer Mudra and close off your practice today by just nodding your chin to your chest as you end off with Namaste. Thank you so much for coming out and joining me today. I really hope that you enjoyed today's class. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Remember to shoot me your comments below. Make sure your notifications are on and be ready for yoga on the mat on Monday. Till then, keep it light.